having me. I'm Carey, Knee Crash, and my company's over with Carey. I am a certified health coach by trade, but I specialize in intuitive eating, meaning I help women become basically their healthiest and happiest versions of themselves. I'm really passionate about basically helping women stop doing weird stuff with food.
I love that hashtag.
I like to say. Yeah, so that's me in a nutshell.
Awesome. Okay, so I want to know all about the principles of intuitive eating, because that's right, you're over it because you want us to eat healthy and stop doing weird shit with food.
Correct.
So tell me all about all of the principles and how we do this.
Sure. Well, intuitive eating itself is essentially the process of coming back to yourselves, coming back to, how we're all born eating, being able to honor our bodies and actually trust and listen to them. Unfortunately, with most women especially, start dieting at relatively young ages, and, media and diet culture, even our parents, sometimes well-meaning, kind of interfere with our natural cues of hunger and fullness, and we just kind of lose that intuitive nature of food. So intuitive eating itself is just normal eating, and being able to come back to that. Yeah, I know, what a novel concept. Exactly, it's just eating normally. And the phrase comes off of a book that's called Intuitive Eating by Evelyn Tribole and Elise Resch, which does have 10 principles. So I just want to, I don't follow that like Bible. I kind of take it and morph it into my own way based on what my clients need. But today I wanted to leave you guys with 3 tips to be able to kind of leave this live and be able to start your journey to intuitive eating.
Awesome. Okay. I love that. Now, before we get into it, because I want to give people a little time to get on, it's only a few minutes after noon. So tell us a little bit about your journey to being a health coach and like what you do as a health coach. Maybe even what a health coach is? What is that?
Well, a health coach is a bunch of different things depending on, that's why I don't even love the term health coach. I prefer just intuitive eating coach, because health coach, I think, sounds diety. Like people come to me like, but I want to lose weight. I'm like, well, when you become an intuitive eater, I can't promise what somebody's weight's going to do based off, a million different factors of genetics being the main one. I'm more interested in people healing their relationships with food and their bodies. Basically, if you're an intuitive eater and you're eating what you want, when you want to, and you're eating foods that make you feel good and energized, what happens with your body shouldn't be the driving force of that. So being able to accept ourselves is important. But health coaches do a whole different variety of different things, but me, myself, that's what I do. But to get here was quite the long journey. I was pre-med in college, and I myself had an eating disorder back then. So through many, many, many different therapies and programs and trial and error, I became a health coach, essentially thinking like, I'm going to do health really, really well, and that'll fix me. That is not the case. And along the way, I had bought the Intuitive Eating book along with every other diet book pretty much under the sun. Again, always trying to find the next best thing to finally, quote unquote, fix me. And I revisited it. And I was coaching at this point and, healed from my eating disorder, but still feeling funky around food. Like just always this little bit of like, things are still kind of weird. This relationship, is this just it? Like I'm going to have to spend the rest of my life trying to mold my body, essentially. Yeah, I just never felt authentic. And my clients would come to me wanting to lose weight. And, again, I can get anybody to lose weight. It's, it's not brain surgery to figure out how to lose weight, but it's the maintaining that weight loss that's turns out has a failure rate of over 95%. So
that's
then they
really high.
It's super high. Dieting doesn't work, y'all.
Why do we keep believing this crap?
It's so bad. I know. It's the culture.
Right.
So I revisited the book, and I was like, it was like kind of a light bulb moment. And I found a mentor, a coach who specialized this, which I'm very blessed that intuitive eating has become pretty much trendy. I think it was the #1 diet trend of 2019, which is awesome. But at the time, it was pretty much unheard of. So I found a coach and worked together and knew I wanted to start a family, and I did not want to go into having children feeling weird around food. A, I didn't want to pass it on to them, and B, like, holy stress, like worrying about all of that, plus taking care of a human, plus working, like I couldn't.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yes. So happy to say I became an intuitive eater and was like, you know what, my business needs to shift as well. As unheard of as it kind of is, that's how I got here.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Yeah. And so being a mom, being like an entrepreneur and having to be, you're being in a relationship with another person, an adult person, right?
Right.
Like that's a lot to carry. And so I can imagine that that's overwhelming. And so you think, did that, all those stressors kind of bring up all of that stuff? That's what led you to reach out?
Yeah. Just knowing that my mental load, I could only handle so much and be happy. Like at the end of the day, I just want to go to bed and like be satisfied with my life, and living that way, it's just too crappy. Like I don't want to spend Sunday meal prepping and worrying about squeezing in all my workouts, and like that's not how I want to live, and nor how I hope for my children to live. So
totally, I love that. And and I really love your feed, and I'm so glad I got to meet you through a mom group, by the way. So that's so great. But that your posts on social media are all about you just like living your life and not being trapped in the cycle of what should I be eating and worrying about it. Like, should I have this wine? Should I have this food? What am I doing? Getting lost in all of the thoughts we have to have around that.
And I think moms especially, I mean, like how often we're like, I don't know, you're stuck at the playground or something because they're having fun and like you're starving and the only thing around is like goldfish. Like I don't want to feel crappy because I eat a couple handfuls of goldfish. Or like in my old life, I would have been like, oh my God, that's what I ate. Like what the hell? It's like,
a lot of judgment. Totally.
Yeah.
Oh, that happens to me. It's granola bars in my bag usually.
Yeah.
So,
all the snacks.
Oh, this is all I have, really? Okay.
Yeah.
And planning maybe a little bit better. All right. So being out in the world. And so what kind of clients do you work with in your business?
I do work predominantly with women simply because women, again, are usually in the trap of the dieting and yo-yo cycling. But my business, it's a 90-day program is what I usually run with my clients, and it's one-on-one. It's based on intuitive eating and like kind of body image rehab, as I like to call it.
Ooh, I like that.
But it's totally customized based on, obviously everyone comes to me at a different place, different starting point. But usually they get to the point where they feel like they've tried everything and they're so fed up and they just don't know what to do next. And intuitive eating, it's like they've heard the buzzword or have done a free consult call with me. And like, I'm amazed at how many come back to me after that. Cause I think you really kind of have to be, I hate to say rock bottom because I just hate that term, but kind of at that point where you're like, I know I don't want to do this anymore. But it's very scary to just decide to eat like a normal person because we worry so much about, but what's going to happen? What's going to happen to my body? How am I going to do this? So that's why having a coach can just be super helpful for somebody, just to have, someone in your pocket with you. Because I do in the 90 days, like it's unlimited texting with me. You do 2 sessions a month. So I'm with you through the whole thing.
That's amazing. Really, oh man, right. I already feel supported. Yeah. And I see this with my clients too in my therapy practice is a lot of struggles with disordered eating and being worried about confidence and, how people are going to perceive you, and also being judged and shame and all of those things combined they really get in your way. And also you must be consumed by these thoughts all day long, right? It's just such a struggle between because you have to eat.
Right.
There has to be nutrients in your body, and you can't like just cut it off, right? Other addictions, I think, right, with alcohol and gambling or all the many addictions that there are, right? Eventually, when you're healthy, you don't need to have alcohol. You don't have to gamble, but you do need to eat. And so I think that's sometimes what's so challenging about having that relationship either way, good and bad, either way.
100%. And at the end of the day, it's like should sometimes be something that's enjoyable and pleasurable. That's how food is meant to be for us. So
totally. Okay. Oh, I love this. All right. So tell us about your tips that you want to share with us today.
Sure. Well, the first step of intuitive eating, like no matter pretty much who you talk to, is going to be honoring your hunger, which sounds like super simple. But if you've been on diets for a long time or have just been eating for external reasons, meaning you're eating because you're actively hoping to change the shape of your body in some way, we tend to just completely lose touch with our innate hunger and fullness cues, meaning like eating at the point where you're either getting like so ravenous that you just feel out of control and you can't stop, ignoring hunger, skipping breakfast, only having the coffee, go, 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 go. And then, what happens later is you feel out of control and you're shoveling all the food in. Or it could be the total opposite, and often not even knowing what comfortably full feels like anymore. So what I always start pretty much every client that I have is with the tool. It's called the hunger fullness scale. It's super simple. I can email it to anybody that would want it, but it's basically just 1 through 10, 1 being ravenous, 10 being that Thanksgiving full food coma, kind of like so stuffed I can't move feeling.
Oh yeah.
And it's touching base with yourself, 3 to 6 times a day, taking that moment to pause, listening to what your body's telling you, and understanding what hunger feels like to you. And at the same point, like as you're going through the meal or the snack, paying attention to where am I, and stopping when you get to a point that you feel comfortably full. And it's kind of that nuance. It takes a little bit of time, sometimes weeks, sometimes months, just depends on where you're coming from. But whenever you're feeling hungry, the key there is to not ignore it and to actually eat something. So letting go of those food rules you may have, like, but I don't eat after 6. It's like, well, my body's telling me at 8 o'clock, like, I need a snack. So let me eat a snack. Or I'm not hungry for breakfast. Like, let me tell you, folks, pretty much all of us are waking up hungry because we just didn't eat for an extended period of time. Right. So paying attention and listening again is super important. And that is definitely the first step to intuitive eating. Eating when you're hungry.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and is there a goal between 1 and 10? Where do you want, right? How do you know?
Well, like on the scale, it says, like 1 ravenous, 2, I don't have it in front of me, but yeah, somewhere kind of in that, like when you're 3, you should be eating something, and stopping somewhere around like a 7. But also
it's balance in the middle. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. But not feeling bad if, life happens and you do, if you're at a 1 and you're ravenous, that you're going to probably eat a lot of food because you're super hungry and maybe you get too full. Then you just know, like, the next time you check in, like, I'm not that hungry. So let me just have a little something instead of ignoring it or whatever. So that's where it's very nuanced, and there's letting go of the shame and the guilt. And that's why sometimes having a coach can be helpful, because it's like, I feel like I'm not getting it, or I'm eating too much, or I'm getting too full, or whatever. It's like trusting the process and just, again, learning what your individual body, and ignoring, what your cousin Susan's doing over there. Like, but she only ate that. It's like, yeah, that's her body. We don't know what she ate the rest of the day or what her diet mentality is right now. So it's really focusing on your own personal hunger and fullness.
I love this. This is so great. Okay, so I heard awareness building of when you're hungry, right?
Yes.
So,
yes.
Right, and I love rating stuff. I use scales in my office all the time, right? And
nice.
So that makes tons of sense, that if you're trying to tap into if you're actually hungry, or you're just really stressed out, or if you woke up and you're not hungry at all, right? Like when paying attention and learning what's going on inside for you.
Exactly. Yeah. And that is step 1 for sure.
Okay, what's next?
So next, like, not only do we have to eat when we need to eat because we're hungry, but we have to eat exactly what we want to eat, at least most of the time. So this is where people tend to, like, blood pressure goes up and start sweating a little bit, because every single food out there is allowed. With intuitive eating, there's no good food, bad food, should, shouldn't, can, can't. Like, literally all foods are on the tables. This isn't if it fits your macros and everything fits. This is like truly all foods on the table. Everything's okay. There's no morality to food. It's literally just food. Doesn't make a difference. And the reason we have to do that is because, let's say, like, it's Girl Scout cookie season right now. I see them everywhere. Like, so I know I've been thinking about Samoas and making sure that I'm going to get myself a box. So if you're just like,
the best one.
They're so good. So if you're dying to have a Samoa, and let's say, your daughter's a Girl Scout and you have access to multiple boxes and you really want one, but you're like, no, I shouldn't, it's bad, I can't. So you have a couple of rice cakes and like a yogurt. And let's say, on the hunger scale, you're comfortably full, but you didn't satisfy what you really truly wanted, and you push it down. Like, let's be honest, when those kids go to bed and you're a little bit hungry and you open that pantry and there's the box, like, that's when those boxes go missing, and you're standing there thinking, what is wrong with me? I feel awful. I'm so ashamed of myself. I'm so guilty. Like, clearly I have a problem. I'm addicted to food, something horrible. I'm a bad person because I can't control myself around cookies. Like, no, you emotionally restricted. So not only is physical restriction, like actually dieting and not giving yourself enough food to sustain you properly, but emotionally restricting yourself from the foods that you actually want. That's when shit gets crazy. And that's when you feel crazy around food.
Yeah.
So again, this is where people super panic. Like, I know when I decided to go full on intuitive eating, like pizza and ice cream were still no, like super scary foods for me. Like, but I can't control myself. I'm going to eat the whole pizza, and I can't have ice cream in the house because I'll eat the whole gallon, yada, yada. And telling like my then coach, like, all I'm going to want to eat, if you tell me I can eat whatever I want, whenever I want to, I'm just going to eat pizza and ice cream. She's like, okay. So off I went, and I ate pizza and ice cream, and pizza and ice cream, and pizza and ice cream, and pizza and ice cream. And then one day I woke up and I was like, I don't freaking want to see pizza or ice cream like ever again. Give me a big ass salad, because we naturally do crave foods that make us feel good. But it's going through that kind of initial phase of getting over those fears and, you know, preconceived notions that we have because of diet culture of these, you know, quote unquote scary, fun foods. That you have to go through that, and you have to get through that phase to really get to the intuitive eating portion. So again, eat when you're hungry, eat exactly what you want, which means like really surrounding yourself with a lot of food when you're first going through this process. And sometimes, again, why having a coach can help. So when you're like, what the heck? Why am I just eating nachos? I promise you one day you're going to wake up and you're going to want to eat fruits and vegetables again. It will happen.
Yeah, because we inherently like go back to equilibrium internally.
Exactly.
We want balance and stability, so that makes 100%. A lot of sense. That if you're allowed free reign, it'll kind of come back to that middle balance ground. If we're not kind of like, if we have some external like people telling us that we're doing okay, and that we're running off course and going to gain 1 million pounds. Okay.
Exactly.
So let's move on to the third and final one. And I'm just going to wave to some people who are coming in and out, so don't mind my face.
Sure. Well, kind of, this is similar. It's kind of it's all along the same vein, but is practicing mindful eating, which means like actually turning off all the distractions, the cell phones, the computers, you know, at work or whatever it may be, and really paying attention to what it is you're eating, what it tastes like, what it smells like becoming one with the food again. Because again, we live in such a go world where we're ignoring our hunger and sometimes not even truly tasting things or thinking we might like something that we don't even realize we don't really like that much. Like Hershey Kisses for me. I used to think, you know, those were like the greatest thing ever. And then I realized to me, they kind of taste like wax, and I would rather have something that tastes a little bit better.
That's really
so again,
interesting observation about you.
Yes, really slowing down and paying attention. And, you know, in the ideal world, that would be for every meal and snack, but that's not real life. Like, I ate breakfast with one hand while driving this morning, you know, my kids screaming in the back, like, that's real life sometimes, or eating lunch at the desk, like, that stuff happens. So I encourage my clients at least one meal, one snack a day, especially early on in this process, turning everything off, paying attention, really smelling your food, really chewing your food, and just taking note of what do you like? If you take all that diet mumbo jumbo out of your head, like what do you enjoy, and how does it feel in your body, and how do you feel after you eat it? Sometimes a journal can help early on in the process too, just kind of taking notes on what feels good, what doesn't feel good, and what you actually like. So again, eat when you're hungry,
awareness,
stop when you're full. Exactly. That's the sum of it all. And allowing all the foods and just being mindful and present.
Right, and I think that's a bit, as screens have gotten more and more parts of our life, it's so hard to concentrate on one thing at a time, and also finding that space to do that, like shutting things off, locking your door, hoping your kids and you're back in the car, right? Or like, yeah, and committing.
And it's uncomfortable sometimes, like when we don't live, you know, it's hard sometimes to just be with yourself and just be there and be present. So it's a really good practice, I think, for everybody. Even people who are intuitive eaters should still take that moment to be mindful with their food.
Yeah, and you described using your 5 senses, right? To kind of like I think of wine, right? Like people are like all into smelling and doing all the senses with wine. You can do that with your food, even your like regular lunch thing you're eating, right? Is all the levels, right? So what does it feel like in your hands? What does it smell like? What does it taste like when you're chewing it? What else? Feel it, smell. Oh, what does it sound like? What does your food sound like? Is it crunchy? Right.
Yep.
Oh, right. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
And we don't do that.
No, we don't at all. No, it's true.
Okay, so let's see if anyone has any questions. There's people popping in and out. So if anyone who's watching has a question about intuitive eating, about being mindful, being present, awareness, hunger, all of the stuff we're talking about, please feel free to put it in the comments. Otherwise, we'll get back to you later or DM. We'll do a DM later, and I will be sharing this video today and then with Carey tomorrow, because you can't get it till 24 hours have gone by, because that's how it works. But so if people have comments, we will get back to you if they don't pop up. So Carey, how can people find you to do your 90 days?
Sure. Well, you can always DM me right on Insta, but my website's probably the best place. It's Over It with Carey, and it's Carey, just like my handle. And there's a link there. You can book a free consult for an intuitive eating consult right on there. We can dive right into your weird food shit.
I love it. Okay, and so your program is 90 days. You get to work one-on-one with you with a lot of texting.
Yes, a lot of texting, as much as you need. You get a free intuitive eating book. You get 2-hour-long sessions every month, either online, remotely, over the phone, or in my office in Mystic, Connecticut, if you're local to Connecticut.
Yay, and that's where I met you. I got to meet over coffee in Mystic because my office is here too. All right. Thank you so much for sharing all of your knowledge. Any final thoughts before I put all my stuff out there? Any other?
No, this was great. Thanks for having me. It's so
totally
fun to do.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom. And so for anyone out there, I haven't seen any questions come up, so feel free to DM Carey or myself. My office is also in Mystic, and I have launched my free Facebook group, Uncaged with Rachel. So I'm encouraging everybody to go in there. We're doing some fun stuff